Questions, questions are very good because they almost always add a whole different dimension to the class.
I have a question, Stuart. It's Chris. Stuart, I love this book that you've written, the Moving On book. And I would like to have you talk about something that I've been struggling with. You say there are billions of people on Earth, and every one of them sees a different reality. Somewhere along the way, there has to be compromise. And I wonder, you know, how to deal better with everyone's different realities. How do you do it?
Well, the only way I can do, I mean, look, there are 20 people sitting here. Everyone has a different reality. Mm-hmm. Everyone looks at the world from their own perspective, their own point of view, and that's how they see the world. The only way I can deal with 20 different perspectives on reality is to open so deep inside myself that it enables me to transform these different perspectives to, spirit, to God, to higher energy, a transcendental consciousness. I mean, how do you do that with 8 billion people? You can't do it. But 8 billion people are an incredible reminder, and people, I mean, just pick up a newspaper, go to, CNN online or, some television and just see what the nonsense going on in the world is. It's all people's perspective. It's people's reality. Whatever you see outside yourself is your own perspective of the world. It doesn't mean that what you're seeing is real.
Right.
It's your projection, and, it's the thing I talk about all the time. Look, spiritual energy, I'll go through this again. Spiritual energy is neither positive or negative. It's pure, it's non-polar, it's an energy that nurtures, that gives life. We draw it into our systems. People from the day they're born are conditioned to have personalities, neurosis, anxieties, headaches. They're victims, they're guilty, they're et cetera, et cetera. That energy comes into them. It's transformed into whatever they are. They offer that to the world. You understand? It's the whole, it's this crazy thing. I mean, the energy of God is a pure energy. It's simple, it's pure, it's nurturing, it's profound. It transforms things in people, but everybody is living with this kind of, cord that connects them to higher energy in the universe. Otherwise, they wouldn't be alive. But because of the way we are conditioned from the day we're born, and because of what takes place inside us, the neurosis and anxiety, et cetera, that's what we project to the world. Now, meditation is about transforming that. It's about building the chakra system. I mean, I've said this a billion times, it's about building the chakra system that's strong enough to transform all of the neurosis, the anxiety, the guilt, the fear, the insecurity in a human being into chi, into harmony and balance. Chi enables the heart to open. So then you have love, you have compassion. You understand? That is the job of a human being. That is the job. We come to the earth to learn how to do this. How to transform suffering into a spiritual life. It's a lifetime lesson. So how, that's what I wrote about in that book. There are 8 billion points of view, and, and we have to compromise. Instead of being right all the time, we have to listen to other people and try to listen to what their reality is. I mean, you sent me that book of Rumi, the whole book is about this.
Yeah.
literally about this. And this is one of the greatest, saints in Sufism. This is what he wrote about. It's unbelievable. So I'm not the first one to have talked about this. I mean, this is something that has come down through the ages, and it's something that human beings can transform by transforming themselves.
Stuart, may I ask you an auxiliary question with that?
Sure.
When I first met you, I'd never encountered anyone like you. And you shifted my reality tremendously. And our connection, I know, is divine.
My job, Chris, my job isn't to be a teacher, a guru. How many times do I have to say this? My job is to help people transform their lives and develop a system inside that is strong enough to connect with God. When that connection is made, your whole reality is going to transform.
Yeah, yeah.
Instead of being locked into emotional and mental and, right and wrong and fighting with husbands and wives and children. And, we begin to see that everything is a manifestation of God. Reality transforms itself.
Yeah.
But that's the job of it. We dump this in the lap of God. He created a mad world. Yeah, the world is crazy. But our job is to fix ourselves so that we can transform that craziness into love, into joy. And maybe we don't transform 8 billion people, but we certainly can transform ourselves.
Yeah.
And then you have patience with the 8 billion maniacs that are running around, projecting rightness at everybody else, You have patience, you have compassion for them, you have love for them. You figure that in time, they're all going to find, whether it's this lifetime or 50 lifetimes down the road, they have to come to this reality eventually. The tragedy is that people go through a whole lifetime and they suffer, and it's like a generation of dunces, They just suffer and suffer and they die. And what is it all about?
Yeah.
What is it all about? People are born, they suffer, and they die. It's insane. But through doing deep spiritual practice, we transform the chakra system. We build the chakra system. We learn to live with an open heart, which in itself transforms the suffering and enables us to stop being neurotic, full of neurosis, being the victim of life, being so afraid that we spend our entire lives living on spiritual welfare. No, I mean it.
Great.
It's insane. But if a human being doesn't use their need and the will to make this transformation, that's what they got. They're hiding out from life inside themselves, and they use the neurosis, the anxiety as a reason why they can't do. They use it. It's just a cover-up for their unwillingness to change themselves.
Wow.
I mean, this is powerful stuff, and I don't come here to talk about things with this kind of intensity, but you ask these questions and they have to be answered,
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Chris. But now it's not thank you so much, it's doing it.
Yeah.
I'm not interested. I mean, Rudy once said, I'm sick and tired of your lip service gratitude. That's what he told me once. And I said, oh shit, what do I, and then I said, okay, Stuart, you got to go deeper. You got to start working differently, contributing differently, changing your life. So it's not just gratitude. It's taking all of this energy and Shakti of these and making it into something practical in your life. that you use it in your life. Otherwise, it's a waste of everybody's time. I mean it. And these classes are very strong. Although they're on Zoom, they're very strong, you know. I mean, I wish they were in-person classes, you know, I really do, because they would even be stronger. But the universe has created COVID, and it's created, you know, put me in the hospital because I traveled 98,000 miles in 2019. I had to have an operation and I had to stop it. I couldn't start going to everybody's place teaching, you know, retreats anymore. So what I'm left with is Zoom. And okay, you know, it's still very powerful on Zoom. But the whole, you know, point of all of this is God is really love. That's what flows out of the cosmos. That's what enables every single one of us to wake up in the morning and live our day. Then we have to become conscious about how to use that love to transform ourselves. Instead of going through life finding excuses for not ever really having a spiritual life. I hope this is clear, because this is really important stuff, you know? And part of me is tired of talking about it. Almost every class I wind up talking about this. But then every question people ask leads me here, you know? Does anyone else have a question? So it gets back to a simple thing, you know, is what I said, there are 20 people sitting here. Every one of you, including myself, has a totally different perspective of life. Everyone that's sitting here sees life differently. Everyone has ways of acting because of the way they see life, you know? And if that was allowed to interfere with the class, we would have a nightmare here. It wouldn't be Kundalini yoga. We'd have everybody express, it would be some political meeting where everybody is screaming at the, expressing their opinions, you know? So the whole point of the energy is to transform whatever one's reality into a connection with God. And the point of it is to help each and every person build a system inside themselves where they can do this. Because if you don't do this, what? I tell you, we're born, we live, we die. What's the point of it all? No, I'm not saying this is easy to do. It's not easy to do. It really requires transforming a lifetime of conditioning. And that's not easy. But it's certainly worth doing it, because it just transforms the world, makes life into something sacred. You know, I wrote this little poem that I had this meeting with people about poetry once a week. So I read this thing. It's kind of like a haiku, but it's not a haiku. But it has to do with, you know, this, in the morning I ask for food. In the evening, I ask for a place to sleep. All day long, I I travel from place to place putting flowers at the Buddha's feet. And, you know, if you understand the symbology in that, it's very, very profound because, you know, everything's sacred. The Buddha's feet is every manifestation that exists around us. And our job is to truly transform ourselves where we see that all of life in its manifestations is sacred. Does anyone else have a question? I hope all this is clear, and I more than hope that somehow each and every one of us applies this to their practical daily life. Understands that we can transform our reality. We don't have to be frightened of life. We don't have to be frightened of anything. As I say, we don't have to live on physical and spiritual welfare in order to get through the day. We really can change ourselves inside and transform the world we live in. And not procrastinate. That's the biggest problem. Procrastination. You know, everybody dies but us. It's ridiculous. And it's really true. And one day, boom, none of us are going to be here anymore. You know, what do we take with us? What have we learned? How have we grown? How have we freed ourselves of our karma? A good thing to try and take deep inside. Does anyone else have a question? And I don't mean this to get heavy, because the ultimate thing I'm talking about is love and joy. That's really what I'm talking about. Arriving at that place in ourselves where we can truly live with Ananda. We can live with love and joy, compassion, forgiveness, and share that with the people in our lives. And that turns everybody's reality into something extraordinary. Everybody who does that Does anyone else have a question? Okay, nobody has a question. Anybody else? Then there'll be a meditation tomorrow evening at the same time. And God bless you all. Thank you, Chris, for asking that. I didn't really want to talk about this tonight, but I tell you, it went very deeply inside of me, and it changed something in me. So God bless you for what you asked. And all of you for being here and being part of this. And I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow night. God bless you. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Stuart. Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart. Good night.